Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's another book haul, and I know I just did one, but I've bought a lot of books in the past few months. I don't know what happened. I decided not to buy books for a while, beginning of the year, and then I went absolutely crazy. So this should be my last collective haul until hopefully like October, I'm thinking. I will still be buying books, but probably not at the extent that I have been. I have a lot of books pre-ordered that I should be getting in the next few months, but nothing to this extent, I think, until maybe October. That being said, let's get into it. I'm going to do, I think in genre order, minus two books I'm going to talk about real quick because I've actually already read them. The first book I got was Powerful by Lauren Roberts, which is the novella that comes right after Powerless. And this is considered book 1.5 in the Powerless trilogy. This comes before Reckless, which comes out next month. So I wanted to get this and make sure I had it read before the next book comes out, and it's only like 200 pages, so it was really quick. This book is tiny in comparison to a lot of books, so not only is it short, but the pages aren't very big and the writing's kind of large as well, so it didn't take very long to read. This follows Adina, who is Peyton's friend from the first book. It's her story from the same timeline as Powerless. Another book I've already read is Expiration Dates by Rebecca Searle. This was the book club that I joined in my city. This was their May book of the month. So I picked this up, I read it again. This was a really quick read. It's only like 200 and some pages. And it's about a woman who gets letters, postcards, just pieces of paper every time she starts dating someone, every time she meets a new man that she will eventually date. And it has their name and the amount of time that they'll be together on it. And it deals a lot with like fate versus choice. So that was the basic synopsis of that. Now I'm going to do thrillers because I have the least amount of those, I think. The first one I picked up was The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I've been waiting to get this book since he announced it, but I wanted it in paperback, so I had to wait till it released in paperback. And it's basically a similar story to the Lizzie Borden case, where this woman is accused of killing her family, but she just never talks about it. And now she has a typewriter and a new caretaker, and she tells the caretaker she wants to tell her the story, and she does it via typewriter. That's all I really know about that one. Another Riley Sager is Home Before Dark, and all I really know is that I think it's about a family that like has a very weird experience in this Victorian mansion 25 years ago, and so they move into this house, and then 3 weeks later they flee in the middle of the night, and then one of the people there recounts this later in a book titled House of Horrors. So I guess people are like not believing him, and I don't know exactly what it's about, but it sounds something like the Amityville Horror House and how he wrote about it, and it's being made into a movie and people are questioning its legitimacy. And then I picked up Natasha Preston's The Island, and this is about a bunch of teenage influencers that get invited to this island to like, have a good time or whatever, and then they realize that they're actually stuck there. Even though this amusement park and this island seems really awesome, it says their jam-packed schedule seems to cover every moment of their visit, but they soon realize that something's missing, getting off the island alive. That's all I really know about that. The cover just looked cool. It's got like an abandoned roller coaster on it. So I've never read one of Natasha Preston's books. It is considered YA, I think, because when I was in Barnes & Noble the other day, all of her books were there. So if I like this one, I might pick up a few more. Not really on like a thriller kick right now, which is why I don't have too many of those. I've been mainly in a romance mood reading time. So a lot of the books that I have today are actually romance novels. I also picked up Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I read Ninth House at the beginning of May, and I really want to read Hellbent, which is the second book in the Alex Stern series, and I think it might just be a duology. I don't know if there's going to be any more. Probably won't end up reading this until like the fall, but it just picks up after the events that happened in the first book, so I can't really talk too much about that. But I am hoping that this goes in the direction that I'm thinking it will based on how the first book ended. I really did enjoy Ninth House. It's kind of like a dark academia with a little bit of a fantasy vibe to it because there is a magic system involved. And then I picked up Megan Miranda's Daughter of Mine, which is her newest release. So this is about like people disappearing in this small town in North Carolina. And a lot of Megan Miranda's books take place in North Carolina or Pennsylvania, which I think is hilarious because I live in Pennsylvania and I vacation in North Carolina. Maybe that's why I like her books so much. But there's a small community where abandoned cars keep showing up, and Hazel's mother like disappeared when she was a teenager, and she doesn't ever really know what happened. And then when her dad, who is a detective, dies, she returns home, and now she's trying to she's unearthing what happened to her mother and like the mystery surrounding that and what else is going on in that town. That's all I really know. I do enjoy Megan Miranda's books. She's one of my favorite thriller authors, and I did want to pick up her newest read for a vlog that I plan on doing towards the end of June. It probably won't come out until July, but keep your eye out for that. That's all the thrillers I have unboxed. I do have a few things up here to unbox, and there is at least one thriller in there that I can think of. Next, I picked up The Atlas Complex by Olivia Blake. I read The Atlas Paradox at the beginning of May as well, and I wanted to pick up the third and final book in that trilogy so that I can finish that out. I plan on reading this in June as well, so this should be in a June wrap-up, a June vlog. I'm not sure yet, but this is the third book in the Atlas 6 trilogy, and I'm excited to see how this ends. It's a very unique magic system. Again, it's like a dark academia with a fantasy vibe, and I've enjoyed the first two books. I don't think this is highly rated, so I am a little scared, but instead of thinking about it too much, this did just come out in January, so I don't know how many ratings it actually has, but it's not a very high rating on Goodreads. But instead of like basking in my fear of this book, I'm just going to read it, and I want to be done with this series, and I want to know how it ends. I also picked up Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar. As you can see, I have a lot of hardback books here. Target was having a buy one, get one 50% off sale, so I did snag quite a few hardbacks when that sale was happening. And this is a historical fantasy, I believe, taking place around like the Spanish Inquisition time frame. I really don't know much about it, and I don't really want to know much about it. I love Leigh Bardugo's writing, and I'm very excited to see where this goes. My book of the month at the beginning of May, so I got this for my May book of the month, was Five Broken Blades by Mike Horland, and I know that this book has been a best-selling book in May. I've seen it everywhere. I've seen the beautiful sprayed edge version, which I didn't get because I got the book of the month one, which is FOMO for me. But I think this is about a bunch of like assassins trying to go to kill a king. Its 5 most dangerous liars in the land have been mysteriously summoned to work together for a single objective, to kill the king of June. That's all I want to know. So I did hear something about like there being killer birds in this. Not thrilled about that because I do not like birds in general, but it sounds like a fun fantasy. I don't know if it's going to be a series, but I saw this, that it was coming out like a while ago, and then when I saw that it was a book of the month, I just immediately clicked add to cart because I did want to give this a go. And then I picked up The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black, which is the second book in the Stolen Heir duology that comes after the Folk of the Air trilogy, which is the Cruel Prince trilogy. And I just finished The Queen of Nothing, so I have finished the Folk of the Air trilogy now, and I plan on reading The Stolen Heir, which is the first book, this month as well in June, so I will hopefully be getting to The Prisoner's Throne not long after that to finish out the Folk of the Air universe as I plan to read it. I'm not going to read the other novellas and whatnot that are also involved. And then the final fantasy book I picked up was When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This is a Kindle Unlimited book, and I've had it on my Kindle for a while. I just haven't read it yet, but this has dragons in it. I've heard great things about it. I know I'm going to love it. I just wanted to own it. It is, however, a brick. I didn't realize it was as thick as it was, which is why Kindles can be very misleading. It's smaller, but it's thick. So I will see when I can get this on the docket. It is going to be a series. So that's also why I wanted to buy it, because if I like it, I'm going to want to buy the whole series. I think it is almost 700 pages long. So it is a long one. All I know is that there's dragons. I'm hoping there's a romance in there. We don't know. We'll find out. But other than that, it sounds good, and I've seen really good reviews on it. The few people I've seen that read it have given it good reviews, so hoping I enjoyed it as well. Some series and parts of series that I picked up where I got Anna Huang's The King of Wrath, as well as King of Pride, which is the King of Sins series. The first 2 books in that, I think there's 4 out, and there should be, I believe, 7 if she does all 7 Deadly Sins. I've never read a Anna Huang book. I have listened to the audiobook of Twisted Love, which I loved, which I'll get to next. And I like her writing. I like how she wrote that romance. So I think I'm going to like the rest of them. And I know the Twisted series is very well loved. So I figured I'd pick this up when I found some of them on sale, either at Barnes & Noble or I think I got one of these on the Amazon sale that happened as well. I only have the first 2 for now, but I'll probably end up getting the other ones as well. But I'll read those first, because I bought the entire Twisted series after I listened to the first one and loved it, and I know that this is the one that people dislike the most in that series. So I figured if I liked this one, I'd probably love the rest of the series. So I have Twisted Love, Twisted Games, Twisted Hate, and Twisted Lies, all by Anna Huang. And I believe these are considered, I don't know exactly what I would consider these other than romance, because I don't know that I would consider them dark romances, but I know that this was like a brother's best friend. This one's a bodyguard and princess romance. This one is the girl from the first book's best friend and her brother. So again, it would be best friend's brother in that. And then Twisted Lies, I think is enemies to lovers. Yes, I think it's something like enemies to lovers. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm very excited to read this. I'm hoping to start it this summer, but we'll see how I go with that. I'm sure these books are all going to fall down on me. I also picked up the second and third book in the Boys of Tommen series. This was on the Amazon sale, and then I picked this up because it was buy one, get one half off at Barnes & Noble when I was just there. And I do have Binding 13, and I plan on reading that. That's on my summer TBR. So figured I'd get the next two while they were on sale, and I know I'm probably going to read them anyway, so might as well grab them when you can. These are rugby romances. The first two books follow one couple. The second two books follow her brother and his girlfriend. Same timeline, but different couple. Was that what's the seventh book called? Redeeming 6, Taming 7. So Redeeming 6 is also about the same couple as Saving 6, and then there's Taming 7, which is Gibbs's book, which just came out. So I have some time before that gets ruined for me, hopefully, to read it. Then I picked up Chloe, I don't know how you say her last name, Lee's, I think, her Two Wrongs Make a Right, which is the Wilmot Sisters book 1. I did get to meet Chloe not too long ago. She is a local author to the area that I live in, and they did a book fair kind of event thing, and there I did the romance panel, and I got to meet Chloe as well as two other authors I'll talk about here, and then there was a fourth, Lindsay Hamroff. I got to meet her, and then I'll talk about the other two. I did not get this book signed because I bought this after I met her, but she has a Brothers series that I think there's 7 books or 6 books out in that, and the last one just released, and there's 2 books out in this series, and there will be a third one releasing soon, and that will be the last one in it. So I picked up the first one. She was really awesome. I love to listen to her talk about how she comes up with things, and she does tend to write about neurodivergent characters because she herself is, and that was really fascinating to me because I don't think you get to read too much about that. I picked up the Wilmot Sisters one because my sister had picked up the first book in the Brothers series, so she's going to collect that one, and I'm going to collect this one. She did get her book signed. Then I was at Barnes & Noble the other day and picked up The Second Chance Year by Melissa Weisner, and this is about a woman who everything in her life starts to go wrong at the same time. Her boyfriend breaks up with her. I think she loses her job, her apartment, and her boyfriend, all in one fell swoop. So then she wants to redo this awful year when a fortune teller kind of gives her the chance to do that, and she ends up meeting this other guy. She kisses her brother's best friend, Jacob. So deep down, basically, she decides to redo this year when a fortune teller gives her one wish, and she wakes up, nothing has changed, and then, in perhaps her dumbest move yet, she kisses her brother's best friend, Jacob. Then she wakes up the next morning, and everything has reset. But because of that kiss, she now feels like she keeps running into Jacob, and she's developing feelings for him, so now she's thinking that her biggest mistake was actually wanting to redo the year that led her to him in the first place. So, this looked really cute. I've never really heard anybody talk about it yet. It was just sitting on the table on the buy one, get one. So I picked it up. I grabbed Elle Kennedy's Good Girl Complex, I believe also on the Amazon sale. And this is like a friends to lovers. She moves to this small town because she's a people pleaser and she's always been following the rules, and all she wants to do is focus on growing her internet business, but she has to get a college degree first. So she moves to this town called Avalon Bay. This is the first of 3 Avalon Bay books, I believe. And she ends up meeting this guy named Cooper, who is like a local bad boy. And their friendship soon becomes like the realest thing in her life. And despite his disdain for the trust fund kids, which she is, he sees coming going from the town, he realizes that she isn't just another rich clone and falls for her hard. But then as she starts being finally accepted by him and his friends, there's a secret he's been keeping from her that threatens the only place she's ever felt at home. So there's probably something to do with this town and a secret he's holding about that. That just felt like a fun summer read to pick up. Now, this is another one of the authors that I met, and I did get this book signed. This is Christina Forrest's The Neighbor Favor, and this book sounds so interesting. So it's about a woman who starts being a pen pal, essentially, with her favorite fantasy. I think he's a fantasy author. Yes, her favorite fantasy author. And then all of a sudden he goes to her and he just stops responding. She moves into this apartment, and either he moves into the apartment next door or she moves into a new apartment, and she needs to get a date to her sister's wedding. So she decides to have her neighbor, Nick Brown, be that. But little does she know, he's actually the fantasy author that she was writing to, but he uses a pen name, so the names aren't the same. That sounds so fun. I love books that are centered around people that love books and write books. So when I saw this, I immediately picked it up. And then she has a second book that I picked up after that is the partner plot, and it is about a like spur of the moment relationship that starts in Vegas when they get married, and then they decide to just not get divorced when they realized. So it's a high school girlfriend. They run into each other on a birthday trip in Vegas. He's a high school teacher and basketball coach, and he rarely leaves his hometown, so what are the chances? So they celebrate together, and then they get married, and they realize that the marriage can actually benefit both of their careers, so they decide to fake be married, and then the feelings start to get real. We all know how that works out. And then this is another author that I got to meet there. Also got my book signed, which is awesome. I love meeting the authors and like hearing about how they come up with their ideas, so it's cool to get them like personalized. But this is Once Persuaded, Twice Shy, which is a modern reimagining of Persuasion by Melody Edwards. And she was so awesome. Like she loves to, I forget, like she works as like, there's like a normal desk job, but like writes in her spare time. A lot of these authors that I met started writing around the pandemic time when they were kind of stuck at home. And she writes retellings of like the classics, modern retellings of the classics. So there's Persuasion, and then she has Jane and Edward. And she said she's working on her third book too, but she didn't tell us what that one was about. So I'm excited to read this. I don't love the classics. Like I'm not someone that feels like I need to read the classics just because they're classics. I will if I want to, but I don't go out of my way to do it. But this is a second chance romance, and 8 years later, they're back in the same town, and they kind of have to decide what to do now that like he's come crashing back into her life in town. So that sounded cool. Then I decided that I wanted to be crazy and pick up a first book in another series that I haven't started yet, and that is The Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. And I think this is like a mafia romance series, the Brutal Birthright series. I only have this one. I only picked up the first one. I'm not sure how I will like it. I know a lot of people do, but dark romances, mafia romances are hit or miss for me, so I just got the first one, and we'll see how that goes. I believe this is forced marriage. Yeah, forced marriage. So, again, I've just been picking up a lot of random romance books lately. Then I picked up Mariana Zapata's All Roads Lead Here. This will be my first Mariana Zapata book. She is the slow burn queen, I've heard, so I'm very excited to finally give one of her books a try. So this is proximity romance because it is in Neighbors, and he's grumpy, and she's Miss Sunshine. And then eventually she breaks down his walls. Grumpy Sunshine, slow burn romance, sounds fantastic. And the last book I have that I purchased in person is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is single dad trope. This is the first book in her Rose Hill series, which I believe is all going to be single dad trope. And this is also brother's best friend. Brother's best friend, but if you look from his perspective, it's best friend's little sister. And he's just always been obsessed with her, and I guess it just becomes too much. And this is Ford Grant, who is Willa Grant from Heartless, which is the second book in the Chestnut Springs series. This is her older brother. So they are like interconnected. And I just finished Chestnut Springs, so I got to meet him in the final book. He is in Hopeless. So I got to meet him a little bit there. So very excited for him to get a book because he seemed like a lot of fun. Now to get to the books that I still have to unbox. I'm debating if I want to start with this one or open two other ones and then do this one, because this book I don't know. This is for my romance reveal package, and I never know what this book's gonna be. We'll hold off on that one because I do know what my book of the month book is, and I'm very excited for it. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it just sounded too interesting as a millennial to pass up this book. And it's so pretty. Let's see first what the bookmark says. Ooh, they changed the shape of the bookmark. I don't know that I like that. I liked the little fat stubby ones. Oh, this is okay. So they did like a contest where you could put something in to possibly be on a bookmark, and this is the first one from that. And it says, hold that plot. But I don't like the shape. I like the old shape better. Stupid things to complain about. Anyway, the book I chose this month is Honey by Isabel Banta, and I believe this is a debut novel. And from what, I don't even need to read the inside because I read this the other day and I absolutely was like, add, this is my book. This is about a pop star in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it's learning about her career and how she's being exploited and the romances that she goes through and the over-sexualization of her and all of that stuff, that it was immediately screaming like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, all of those female pop stars that were popular in that time frame and the things that they went through. So this is considered like contemporary fiction, I believe, but I feel like it's going to hit very close to home. I grew up in that time frame. I'm a millennial. That was when I was growing up, obviously. And I just think this is going to be so interesting. I don't know why. It just spoke to me. It's going to take me back. Well, let's just put it that way. It is a debut novel. And it's about basically how Americans think that they have the right to celebrities' lives just because they're putting some stuff out there for us to hear about, that we should just know everything about their lives, which I think still hits pretty close to home, even though we're not in the 90s and 2000s. That's just common. That's been something that's been happening forever, and I think it's just getting worse as we go on. So I'm very excited for this, and it's pretty because it's shiny and it's pink, and I don't have a lot of pink books. All the last 2 books I just showed you were pink. And then this is a Barnes & Noble package. I do know what this was because this was a pre-order. And I'm so excited for this book. This is also going to be part of my reading vlog I'm doing with the Megan Miranda book, which you may figure out as soon as I open this one. And this is Ruth Ware's One Perfect Couple, her new release. And I did get the Barnes & Noble exclusive that is supposed to be signed. It is signed as well. I'm so excited for this book. It is about 5 couples trapped on a storm-swept island as a killer stalks among them. And Ruth Ware is probably my favorite thriller author. I know not everybody loves all of her books, but I really enjoy them. And I'm so excited to read this book. I'm going to take this sticker off because I don't usually, but it wants to not be on there anymore. I don't usually take the exclusive stickers off. Every other sticker I take off. But I do not like this cover. I was more of a fan of the UK cover. I'll pop that up, but it is what it is. I didn't want to buy it from the UK, so I just got this one. I'm very excited about this. It is a reality TV show called One Perfect Couple, and these couples are going on to this island in order to win a cash prize. They have to compete. And after the first challenge leaves everyone rattled and angry, an overnight storm takes matters from bad to worse. Cut off from the mainland by miles of ocean, deprived of their phones, and unable to contact the crew that brought them there, the group must band together for survival. As tensions run high and fresh water runs low, Lila, who is like the main character, finds that this TV show is all too real and the stakes are life or death. Very excited for that. All right, let's open the romance reveal box. Well, bag now. I just get 1 book. What am I going to get? Oh, I hate books that have people on the front, and 90% of the time that's what these look like. But anyway, My Darling Bride by Ilsa Madden Mills. Let's read the back. Huh, interesting. So this is about a woman who is a librarian. This woman owns a bookstore and loves cats, and she's stranded in the desert and trying to get away from her dangerous ex-boyfriend. So she steals this person's car, and he ends up being a famous football player, and it's his Lamborghini, and she like speeds away. So then there's this football player who took a hit on the field that left him with a near-death experience, and now promises his brother he'll get married to secure the family inheritance. The trouble is he's not dating anyone. And then this mystery woman steals his car, and with his usual stubbornness, he tracks her all the way to Manhattan and gives her an ultimatum. Marry me or I'll press charges. Her choice is obvious, only neither of them expects the spark that ignites between them. And as the end of their arrangement looms, will Graham take a chance on love or let his darling walk away forever? Oh, it's dual point of view. That's good at least. Emmy and Graham. It's not bad from like the side. Like the side's cute, but I don't like people on the front of my books. Not real people. Cartoon people, that's fine. And then I have a box that is from Book Outlet. I do like that they wrap their boxes in plastic in case it rains, but it's a pain to get off. I kind of remember what I bought. I think it's a lot more romance books as well. All right, first book. Better Hate Than Never. This is the 2nd book in the Wilmot Sisters trilogy, so I did see this one on here when I was buying books on Book Outlet and was like, well, I already got the first one, might as well get the second one. It just follows another sister. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say friends. They knew each other from their childhood, and apparently they don't like each other, but then she comes back to town and confesses to him drunkenly that she only is mean to him because she thought he hated her, and now he's like trying to sweep her off her feet. So, childhood enemies to lovers should be interesting. Then I picked up Loath to Love You by Ali Hazelwood. This is a set of novellas, I believe, stem STEM collection novellas Under One Roof, Stuck With You, and Below Zero. And like I've said in quite a few videos recently, I love Allie Hazelwood. She has not missed for me yet. She's not been a 5-star read for me yet, but she's still like a 4-star romance read, which is a high-star read for me when you're looking at it being a romance. Cute little series of novellas there. Then I picked up Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. This is 2 stand-up comedians, I believe, and I think he's grumpy and he's a single dad and fake dating. So this looks like a fun fall read, but I've been kind of having my eye on it for a while, and when I saw that it was on Book Outlet, I just decided to pick it up. I know I'm really going into detail about all of these books, and that was sarcasm. Oh, a sticker, hold on. Oh, it's not one that comes off easy. I'll get that off in a minute. Then I picked up The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, and this is a bodyguard romance, obviously, but she is his bodyguard, and they're fake dating because he has to go back to his hometown because his mother is sick, and he doesn't want his mom to know that he's had threats against his life, so they just say they're dating, but she's actually his bodyguard. I've been wanting to read this. This is on my summer TBR list. This is a little bit damaged, but I'm not too upset about it because it wasn't that expensive. I have to take the sticker off that. This one's also a little damaged, like a lot damaged actually. I got A Guide to Being Just Friends by Sophie Sullivan, and so this is about Haley Sharp, which is weird because I went to school with a girl named that. And she's got a head full of entrepreneurial ideas and a bad ex in her rear view. Her one and only focus is living life the way she wants to, no distraction. Wes Jansen never did understand the fuss about relationships. With a string of lackluster first dates and the pain from his parents' angry divorce following him around, he'd much rather find someone that he likes but won't love, companionship, not compassion. So they find each other in a disastrous meet cute that wasn't even intended for them. They embarrassingly go their separate ways, but when Wes finds Haley to apologize for his behavior, could they strike up a friendship? Because that's all this can be. Haley doesn't want any distractions. Wes doesn't want to fall in love. What could possibly go wrong? We all know what's going to happen. And then the final book I picked up was another one I've had my eye on for a while, and that is Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. This is the first book in the Prince of Sins series, I think. It's similar in name to the King of Sin series by Anna Huang, but this is Princes, the Princess of Hell. And I think this is fake dating. So she enters a bargain with him. I've heard this is really spicy. I did read the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy, and the next book in this comes out pretty soon, so I did want to get my hands on this, and when I saw it on Book Outlet, I figured I'd pick it up because I didn't want to spend $30 on the paperback, or on the hardback, but this was only like $8 or something. So excited to see how this goes. It is on my June TBR, so I will be reading this very soon. All right, that's it. That's a lot of books, considering I just bought like 35 more books. Nope, 36. 36 more books. So I will not be buying in excess again for quite some time. Like I said, I do have some pre-orders that will be coming in the next few months because there's so many books coming out in the next few months, and there are also ones that are coming out that I did not pre-order that I still will go buy when they come out. So I will just keep collecting those, keeping an eye on what I've been buying, and then I'll do another collective haul in a few months to share what those books are. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.